Heather, how are you?
Doing well, thank
Wow,
you.
look at this. High socks and all.
High socks and everything.
I appreciate it.
So nice
Great to see you. Thank you so much. Here's my mug. I missed it. I'm sorry if I'm a little sweaty. It's hot in here.
That's all right. It's all late.
Do you want to take off your bag or do you want to keep it on?
I can
Be
leave it
comfortable.
on.
Okay.
I'm fine.
Wow, this is great. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
You even have news to break, but we're not going to get to that right off the bat because I don't know if you know this, but a lot of people have been asking to have you on the program for quite some time. I think after June 24th, a lot of MMA fans didn't know a whole lot about you, and then you kind of like stole everyone's heart with that performance. What has it been like in the aftermath?
Oh my gosh, it's been so exciting. I like at the after fight, I remember at the interviews, I was like, oh, I fell in love, and I really did. Like, I took a week off, but couldn't wait to get back in the gym to learn some stuff. Felt like in boxing when I was in the Golden Gloves, and I just wanted to learn more. When
you say back in the gym, are we talking about back in the MMA gym or back in the boxing gym?
Back in the MMA gym.
Wow.
I was back at even putting my gi on and everything.
Really? Yeah. So have you done any boxing training since then?
I never stopped my boxing training. Like everyone thought like I replaced my boxing training, but you need boxing so much in MMA, so I just kept my boxing training and added all the other stuff.
Okay.
So it never changed at all. I just do a lot more work now.
And you know, we've seen like the Holly Holmes of the world go from boxing, but she was at the end of her career. You're still in the midst. You're still in your prime.
Yeah.
You're still undefeated. You still have 2 championship belts. But when you got that taste, did any part of you say, you know what, maybe I'm going to leave this boxing stuff, or do you still want to do both?
No, there are still girls I want to fight and belts I want to take in boxing. And I feel like, you know, like everyone's like, oh, you're 35. You know, like it's a horrible thing. But I'm like physically so young and able and capable of doing both of these things right now. So I'm psyched. By the end of the year, I'll have 1 more MMA fight and 1 more boxing fight.
Oh, interesting. Okay. How many times have you watched the MSG fight?
I didn't watch it.
What? Well, we just heard from Daniel Cormier, who hasn't watched his fight, but he lost. You won.
I know.
Why haven't you watched it? Why don't you want to relive it?
I can relive it every time I shut my eyes.
Okay.
You know, like I just haven't watched it. I've watched like the highlights and stuff like that and little videos on like Facebook, but I was there, man. I could shut my eyes and remember little spots and parts.
Is there a reason why you don't want to sit down and watch it?
No, I just...
You don't have the time?
No.
Are you not one who likes to relive the past? You just want to keep moving forward?
Yeah, and also, like, I don't really watch fight tapes for that because I'll watch it and be like, look how good I was, look how good I was. Let the coaches tell me all the bad things I did. Really? So they all have watched my fight. And, like, even one of my coaches at Henzo was like, you know, at the night of the fight, they were so excited. He says, but then I watched it again at home and was like, oh, this is terrible, this is terrible, this is terrible.
Wow.
So
more terrible than good?
No, but it's more things to fix than for me to sit around like, I'm so good.
Yeah, of course. You don't want to do that. What was your favorite? Like, what sticks out the most of the entire experience? And it may not be the actual fight. It could be something in the aftermath or in the buildup or in the actual fight. Is there some moment that happened to you, MMA debut, MSG of all places, a New Yorker, that continues to stick out?
Yeah, like... in the beginning of the fight, they had me stand like at the top of like a ramp, and the curtains were open a little, so I could see the cage, and I could see like there were like 25,000 people there, and like I could hear them saying my name, and the inspectors were the same inspectors as for boxing, so they all knew me, like they all know me, you know, by name, they know me, and I said, George, it's like the big guy who's like the head inspector, and he's like, you ready, champ? I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Why am I doing this? And he was like, Heather, it's a fight. You'll be fine. I'm like, but I really don't know what I'm doing.
Did you truly feel that way?
I did.
Really?
Like, what is wrong with you? Why are you doing this? It's always like you're walking to the gas chamber, that first one.
Did you feel that way before boxing matches, or
in the amateurs? Like that's what I said after. It was like I haven't felt like this since the Golden Gloves. You know, you get nervous in the Golden Gloves, and you're like, why am I doing this? What am I doing? I should have went to cooking school. And then you get in the cage or the ring, and everything's like, oh, forget it. It was a fight.
Was it kind of nice to feel that again, those butterflies? Because in boxing, it probably has become somewhat old hat for you, right? You're a pro.
It's for sure. You know, not that it's old hat, but it's like, you know, when I'm getting my hands wrapped before a boxing match, I'll say to my coach, like, okay, now I'm nervous.
Yeah.
But I know it's coming, you know? It's like, right. And we say the same thing. If you weren't nervous, you'd be dead.
Sure.
So, but for MMA, it was really like what am I doing to my coaches?
Considering the setting and winning and those nerves, how would you describe the sort of post-fight elation to winning belts in boxing or your debut in boxing? Was it comparable? Was it greater?
It was. There were like 4 or 5 boxing experiences, mostly in the amateurs, but then I had that I felt were like life-defining for me. Like, you know, it's like I was a real champion. And not even necessarily winning my titles or my belts, but I felt like a real champion. And after this fight, this was like one of those top 5 snapshots of my life.
Any serious injuries after it? It got a little...
Yeah, I got the headbutt, so I wound up with stitches and then some nerve damage, but I'm back in the gym and I'm okay.
No problems?
No problems.
Where's the nerve damage?
It was like this is still a little bit numb.
Okay.
So I was like kind of numb after the fight a little bit, but you know, I'm sparring.
No problems.
Yeah, just no problems.
You didn't get a medical... There's the picture right over there. We're looking at it. You didn't get a medical suspension?
No.
No.
No. Well, you get an automatic suspension for a couple weeks just for the stitches until they come out. But I got my clearance already when I went and saw the doctors.
You ever bleed in a boxing match?
Oh my gosh, I've had 27 stitches in my face.
Jeez, Louise, you can't tell though.
I know, it's not really something you brag about, right? But I'm like, I had 27 stitches.
That's amazing. And so, okay, so then let's get it out of the way. What's the news? You have your next fight?
I have my next fight. I'll be fighting October 20th at Mohegan Sun with Bellator.
Oh.
Yeah.
Back in MMA.
Back in MMA, guys. I'm so excited.
No boxing match in between?
No, I'll probably be boxing after, maybe in November or December.
Okay, so October 20th, Mohegan Sun, that's the card headline, I believe, by Gegard Mousasi against Alexander Shlemenko.
Yes.
Who are you fighting?
That is to be seen. Like, we're just ironing out these details, so I'm getting ready to also sign a fight deal with Bellator.
Okay.
So I'm super psyched about that.
So that was a one-fight deal, right, essentially?
Yeah, it's really hard because I'm promoted in boxing, and no athlete has ever been co-promoted.
Yeah.
Like, to have 2 promoters.
You have Lou DiBella.
Yeah, I have Lou DiBella, and then I have Bellator. So we're at the close of this multi-fight agreement with both. So I will be actually promoted in boxing, promoted in MMA, and competing alternately in both. So
who gets first dibs?
I think it's really, I'm so fortunate. Like, my manager, Dan Hill, has been coordinating with the both of them to try to get us all on the same page. Like, let's just do what makes sense, what the fans want to see. Not just fights to fight, but fights that people want to see me fight. You know, in boxing, I want the big names. I want the big girls. I want the big titles. I don't need any more proving myself fights as far as boxing goes, you know? So we're really looking forward to making some noise there.
Was it hard to get this deal done with Bellator, considering you are promoted?
It was so hard because, you know, in a combat contract, you can't do anything else. Like, I'm not supposed to be, in my boxing contract, I wasn't even allowed to do this MMA fight. Like, I had to ask Lou, like, he was my dad, like, please, Dad, please let me have one try. And then he was so happy with it. He's like, man, I hate to say it, but I can't take food off your table. He knows I'm doing this for my kid, you know, so.
Did he not want to do it initially?
No. You know, but not as a boxing promoter, like as someone who just was protective of me. He's like, you're going to get hurt. That's terrible. Like, boxing guys hate MMA, you know? So the old school boxing guys, everyone at Gleason's was against it.
Wow.
And then when they saw me fight and win, it's like, okay, all right, you could do it.
Who did convince you to initially do this?
Me.
You just wanted to do it?
Yeah.
Did you see a fight? Did you see something? Did you meet someone?
No, I just, like, I was always a kickboxer. My boxing coach, Devon Cormack, is a 3-time world champion kickboxer, and I started in kickboxing, so I always kickbox. But there's nothing really going on in New York with kickboxing, so I never competed just because there were no opportunities there. And everyone asked me if I'd always try MMA, if I ever wanted to try it, and I was like, yeah. And boxing just was on the decline for me. Like, I was making these big strides, but the executives weren't giving me TV time, and that means no money, you know? And so I thought, well, why not? You know, Bellator offered me the fight, and I thought, I could do it. Like, if this girl stole my wallet on the street, I'd kick her ass. I could do it in the cage, so.
Is this Bellator deal more lucrative than boxing?
Well, the pay is like kind of what we're negotiating now.
Okay.
But, I mean, as it stands, women's boxing doesn't really generate much income. Like, you have a few girls right now who are actually starting to make some money. If Showtime picks me up, like, I'm really hoping that Steven Espinosa will.
Is there some talks of that?
Yeah, there sure are. He's been in talks with Lou DiBella for a while, so yeah. So I'm hopeful that they'll give me a chance, you know.
So I was actually just talking about this subject on the show last week. Clarissa Shields, Michaela Mayer from the Olympics just made her debut. There's Katie Taylor out of Ireland. It feels like there's a bit of like a revolution going on now, and fights are being televised finally. Like Shields was televised on Showtime on Friday night last week. Do you sense this as well, that something's going on here?
Yeah, this is a turn in the right direction. Like right now, like a lot of people, I complained about this for so many years, and I became that girl that wouldn't shut up about it, you know? It's a turn in the right direction, but unfortunately, it's still under the blanket that we should be grateful to have one spot. You know, women have one spot. And sometimes there are more than one great woman. Like, it doesn't mean that the one woman spot should be there. How about we just let the people fight who are the better fighters? Yeah. Like, how many times you watch boxing fights and you see like 4 fights, you're like, oh my God, like it looks like it's Golden Gloves matches. Right. And you know, you have female world champions who are virtually unheard of because we're all fighting over one little piece of an 8-fight card. And it's time we just showcase talent, not men and women. Bob Arum, who has been an MMA dissenter, not a big fan at all, actually gave props to the UFC a couple of weeks ago as he was promoting one of his fights and said that with the Ronda Rousey thing and some of their other female fighters, like they showed the world that you can promote females, that there's an appetite for female fighting. Do you believe that as well, that there's a trickle-down effect now to boxing? I sure do. I mean, I think that, like, people fight change. Nobody likes change. And in the days when Layla Ali and Christy Martin were boxing, like, women were literally just allowed to fight in the Golden Gloves a few years prior. So there wasn't a lot of competition because the sport was in its infancy. Yeah. So the executives who were in charge then are still in charge now, and they are fighting that. No, we tried this 25 years ago and it didn't work. So it's really taken a lot of pounding to get them to convince that sometimes the girls are better than the boys. Amazing. But I think Espinoza is that guy. I mean, he put Chris Cyborg and Gina Carano in the main event of a show in 2009. Yeah. And so I feel like Showtime would be a perfect home for you. How close are we? Man, we'll have to ask Mr. Espinoza, but I've been batting my eyelashes since. Does he work well with DeBella? He sure does. Okay. They do tons of shows. Like, you know, I'm always, you know, they call me the first lady of Brooklyn boxing. I'm always at the Barclays Center. Yeah. And Showtime is always doing shows over there. And there were so many opportunities where I begged and begged and begged, please. Like, I was selling tons of tickets and, you know, on like a win streak and fighting good girls, and I still couldn't get the spot. I was getting pushed out by guys who were like 3-0. It's crazy. You know? So I'm really hopeful that moving forward that he'll give me a chance. Why do you think the MMA community is so much more receptive to females? Do you think, I mean, one idea, and I do think, unfortunately, that there is something to this. I think that, I hate to say it, like what the women wear and the big gloves, it doesn't, fans for some reason can't get behind it. And I don't know why that is. Do you think that that's it? Is it just that? Is it just because it's punching in the face and people don't like that, and there's grappling involved in MMA, so it's a little easier on the eyes? Why do you think it is? I mean, it doesn't really make sense. Perhaps, but you can't be what you can't see. And if nobody knows we're out here doing this, then, you know, it's also that argument. Like, maybe people don't like to see it because they don't see it, or because they have, like, you know, these generalizations that, you know, girls in MMA are prettier than girls in boxing. No, you just see those girls. Sure. There are tons of beautiful women who are boxing. Why do they have to be beautiful? Yeah, it's true. Why do they have to be? But it furthers your point, like, if what they're wearing would make a difference, you know, or if it's easier on the eyes, so to speak. You know, I did a show with Phoenix Carnevale, and one of the points she made that's so true is that, you know, if you rewind like 5 or 6 years ago, all the talk about women in MMA was about their shorts and how they looked and their haircuts and, you know, what they wore to weigh in. And now, if you listen in like a sports bar when the UFC is on, these guys are talking about their kicks and their punches and their technique. And, you know, because, like, we're also evolving as a society, accepting women in more roles than maybe we would have 15 or 20 years ago. It's amazing because MMA is sometimes called like barbaric, and the fans are insulted by non-MMA people, and yet I feel like they don't bat an eye when 2 women are main eventing a massive show. Like, no one feels that they're getting, you know, a lesser product or that they're not worthy. You don't hear any of that. I know. You should see us give birth. It's even harder. I mean, I know. I have 3 children myself. I have the utmost respect for women. I will never say anything bad about you guys. We are tough. We're tough. You are. It's incredible. Have you received more kind of reaction and feedback after your one MMA fight than the 20 boxing matches, just because it was probably seen by more people? Yeah, I mean, Spike TV gave me the chance and put me on, and then that showed people that what I could do, you know? Like a big argument with my boxing was that I'm not as good as the other girls, I'm not as technical as the other girls, but I'm entertaining as hell, man. You put me in there with a tiger and I'm gonna take it to the final bell.
Yeah, and let's be honest, I mean, there were some moments where it got a little dicey. Do you think if you lose that fight, you don't come back?
No, but if I lose that fight, people look at me a little bit different, you know? And for me, I don't lose fights. I gotta die in there before I lose a fight, so it wasn't even an option when I got the headbutt. I wasn't like, my mom said, my mom was sitting like high up in the stands, and she said when she saw them stop it and check the blood, she told the people behind her, she said, "That's my kid. I bet you $100 she fucks her up right now."
She was right.
She was right.
When's the last time you lost anything?
In the amateurs.
Okay.
I think, actually, I think the last time I lost, I think was to Michaela Mayer.
Really?
In the Olympic trials in 2012.
Okay.
I was boxing at 125, and they don't have my weight class in the Olympics when I was in the amateurs, and I was only boxing for like a year. I just won U.S. Nationals at 125, and I thought, I'm gonna go down to, like, I was feeling like big.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I'm gonna go down to Florida and fight at 132 and try to get into the Olympics, and I made it to the semifinals, and then Michaela handed me my ass.
Oh, man.
But that was about 7 years ago, you know.
Does it bother you that you never competed in the Olympics?
Oh, it doesn't at all.
No.
Like, it was never really a dream for me. I was already turning 30, and I said I would try it, but I only stayed in the amateurs for 18 months. So
Okay.
My goal, my dream was to go pro and beat up all the girls all over the world.
Is it not true that in your debut, your pro debut, that you were knocked down?
I was.
Early on, right?
Like 40 seconds in.
40 seconds in?
Yeah.
What happened?
Oh
What's
my
the
gosh.
sequence?
I got caught with a right hand, you know? It's like any adjustment. You see great boxers, you know, and they make their pro debut, like even Lomachenko, you know, it takes a couple of fights to get used to smaller gloves, a smaller target with no headgear, you know? And I got caught with a right hand early on before I could find my range, and I hit the floor. And as I get up and I hear Benji counting, I'm saying, "You sold $15,000 in tickets. There is no way you're losing in front of your mom."
Wow.
And I kicked her ass for the next 4 rounds, man.
Wow. So there was no moment you were like, I made a mistake. What am I doing
Oh my
here?
gosh, no way.
I can't believe this is happening.
No.
Okay.
And that was what got Lou's attention. He was like, "God damn, kid, you got some heart."
Oh, was he there?
He was promoting it.
He was promoting. So he's been with you since the first pro fight?
He gave me my first chance.
Wow.
So,
How did you meet him?
one of the guys that works in my corner, Blimp, his son was signed to a contract with Lou, and he was like, "Yo, this kid just made her, you know, just won the Golden Glove, she just won nationals. She is tearing ass, give her a chance." And Lou was like, "Well, if she sells me $10,000 in tickets, I'll do it."
What?
And
you had to do that first?
Yeah, and I was like, fine, you know, like, fine. And I knew that if I had to sell them on the street or on the subway, like I was doing guest bartending, I was all over the city.
Yeah.
I sold close to $15,000 in tickets at Roseland Ballroom.
And you've from what I've read, like you've gone to Times Square the morning of your fights to sell tickets.
That was like a figure of speech. Like everyone asked me that, but I was saying if I had to do that, I would have. But I the morning of my fight, I'm usually settling tickets. I do everything myself anyway.
What's the most you've sold on your own?
38,000.
Damn.
Yeah, for Barclays Center from the last fight I did with Brooklyn Boxing.
Have you been knocked down since?
No.
Wow. So 40 seconds in, and you haven't been knocked down since. No. That's amazing. How many rounds have you lost?
Probably enough.
Enough?
Yeah, I've lost enough because I'm such a gritty fighter.
Sure.
I'm an in-your-face fighter. Fighters, you know, rounds can be close. I almost always lose the first round. But I say, man, if I get through that first one, you're in trouble.
Yeah. And now this is amazing because we have you here. You're the first lady of Brooklyn Boxing. We have Paulie on, who's kind of like the first man of Brooklyn Boxing.
Yeah.
Have you been following this drama between him and Conor McGregor?
Unfortunately.
What do you mean, unfortunately? What's your take on it? I'm dying to ask you.
Well, you know what? It's like...
First, let's establish this. Are you and Paulie friends?
Yeah, I love that guy.
Okay.
He's like such a decent guy, and you got to be honest. Like I don't know if you know him like as a commentator, but whenever you watch boxing, he's always spot on.
He's
like
great.
that guy is not.
Tremendous.
He don't say nothing wrong. He don't say nothing bad, and he's always like saying the right things. But you know, did I see the tape? Yes. Did it look like whatever? Yes. But you know, you got to give the guy.
What's whatever? What's whatever? What's whatever? Was it a knockdown or was it a push in your opinion?
No, it looked like a knockdown.
Oh, it did?
It did look like a knockdown, but I say that to say say this. There was 45 more minutes of sparring that we didn't get to see.
Yeah.
So, you know, people can take a snapshot or 15 seconds of some of my fights. Like I said, they're very physical. Like, you could even go out by my MSG fight and look at 10 pictures and go, there is no way Heather won. Because I did get hit a lot, you know? And I often get hit a lot, but it's not telling of the whole story. So if Paulie is saying wait until you watch the whole tape, okay, let's see when we see the whole tape. But anybody can make something out of nothing.
Yeah.
But does it look like he got knocked down? Yes.
Does it feel like a line was crossed? Like, should that stuff, and here's some of the footage that was released by the UFC and Dana White, should that stuff not be released?
I mean, it's like, you know, there are
Is there
certain...
a code?
Yeah, there's an unspoken code.
Yeah.
Like I know girls, when they come and spar me, if I see the videos, cameras coming out, they will always say, like, this is for my personal use, I never put it on Instagram, you know, do you mind, just so I can learn from it? And it's like, of course. I mean, it's like something you say. I remember once one girl was, like, putting it up, and then she didn't tell me nothing, and I felt a certain type of way, and I wouldn't start sparring until she shut it off. You know, because you don't know what people are going to do. They might do stuff like this.
Sure, sure.
So it's totally like an unspoken kind of rule.
Do you follow him on Twitter? Are you a big Twitter person, Paulie?
No, I do follow him, yes.
He's like a constant responding to people.
I know.
I mean, does a part of you feel for him?
Yeah.
I mean, this has turned into something, and I will be honest, I kind of feel like there is a part of him that's angling for a fight, you know, and I don't blame him. He should be angling for a fight. I feel like those two guys could sell probably 1.5 million pay-per-views now because of all this drama.
Oh my gosh, of course. Especially since Conor just released the thing saying that he wants to continue with boxing after this. Yeah. So it certainly makes sense.
He called himself the god of boxing.
Oh, the god of boxing.
Do you think that there is an appetite to see them fight now? Like, is everyone talking about this?
You know, like, people used to say with Mayweather, like, he make all his money because some people want to see him win and more people want to see him lose. Sure, sure. And like right now, the whole MMA community hates Paulie. Right? Yes,
I know this.
Like, I was tagged in a tweet with him yesterday, and I was like, oh my God, why?
Me, it was because of me, because of the show. I know. I'm sorry.
400 people were like, Pauline, the crybaby, whatever. I mean, it's.
I wanted to get his side of the story. The footage was released, right?
I know, but he didn't tweet back.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we've been texting.
Which is good.
Yeah.
You know, because that would have been like 900 responses.
I know. So have you seen the footage? I was at Conor's media workout on Friday. Have you seen the footage of him?
I sure did.
Because I've seen like Terrence Crawford, all these boxers making fun of him. What was your take on it? What are you laughing about? What's so funny?
It was a little silly.
What was it silly?
You didn't think it was silly?
What, this thing? This was incredible. Do you know Ido Portal? This guy's the best. The movement coach. He has a movement coach. Okay. He's world renowned. He's from Israel. And he teaches him how to be loose, how to be one with his body. We're seeing some of the footage right here. This is, how about that? Donatella Versace gave him a robe. You see that robe? Yeah. It's a nice robe. Right. So what? So this stuff. I see people mocking him.
They were doing that at Gleason's this morning.
They were. This right here. Yeah. This is the move. What? You don't like that? Is this mock worthy?
It's a little silly.
What? Shouldn't you be loose when you're boxing?
Oh, you most certainly should. But you know what? It's kind of like what I was saying about the Paulie tape. Yeah. Like a little 15 seconds. Sure. You know, when you're expecting to see shadow boxing, moving around the ring, like simulating what you're... Shadow boxing is such an important part of boxing. It's like, you know, and then when you see someone do that, you're like, oh.
But don't you think that's part of the brilliance? Like, he has to be so unconventional. He's not going to outbox Floyd. So if he brings something completely different to the table, maybe that's his chance. Yeah, I mean, I ain't knocking the guy. He's making $100 million. He did something right now, so I can't say one thing or the other about him. I can say that look a little silly, right? When this fight was announced, I remember I talked to you just a few days later, and you were one of the few people who actually, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, like you sort of defended it.
Yeah, I think it's great. Like boxers, so many guys are like, I refuse to watch this. It's terrible for boxing. It's like an event, you know? It's like when the Yankees and the Mets play each other, it doesn't matter. Like, none of the stats count towards their end of the year stats. The win or loss doesn't count. But all New Yorkers can't wait to go and see the Subway Series, you know? It's like an exciting thing for fans, but it doesn't mean anything. Like, to me, this will never mean anything.
Why not? What if he wins? Come on, stop it.
When you asked me about the fight, like, that was the first time I realized that people actually thought he was going to win.
What if, listen, August 28th, we're going to be back on this show. We're going to play this clip. If he wins, if you laughing at him, he has no chance.
No, I'm so sorry. And
no, you're not offended.
I know. I'm so sorry. I was like, I don't want to go on the show and say that because MMA people are going to hate me. But
no.
I mean, look,
you're not the only one who thinks that.
I am no way an expert in MMA, right? I have one fight.
But this is boxing.
But right. But I've been in the gym with top MMA fighters, like top MMA fighters at Ray Longo's gym, at the Renzo Gracie Academy in Manhattan. Like, and I watch these men and women and what they do. And I always watch their punching or their striking or their boxing. I've seen them box other boxers at Gleason's, and
they don't know what they're doing?
They don't know what they're doing in regards to boxing. Boxing for MMA, I'm seeing different things than boxing for boxing.
Like what? What are they doing wrong?
It's not right or wrong, right? Because whatever they're doing in boxing is working for their career in MMA. But if they were to apply that to boxing, I mean, what's the biggest thing? Like, I've yet to really see an MMA fighter who moves their head and gets their head out of the way.
That is a problem.
So when you look at like MMA fighters who have all these knockouts with the 4-ounce gloves, which again are much, much smaller and harder than a big padded boxing glove, they're hitting a guy who's not moving his head out of the way to hit a target. Like if I said touch my hand, you touch my hand. If I said touch my hand, you touch my hand. But if I'm doing this, it gets really, really hard to get a clean punch on it. So everything, like even stepping in to commit to a really solid punch isn't really something you do in MMA because you're afraid your legs are going to get kicked or your legs are going to get taken out. So you have to make so many adjustments. And anyone who's around boxing in a boxing gym and sees how evasive people can be, I mean, I'm sorry.
No, you don't have to apologize. I appreciate you keeping it real.
I just don't see it. Like, is he phenomenal? Yes. Would Floyd, I mean, if Conor McGregor tried to steal his wallet, I don't know that Floyd could get it back on the street, but...
Are you a Floyd fan?
No, I'm not. I respect his skills and his talent, and I don't hate the guy. He's doing everything right, making all this money, you know? I don't hate the guy. I don't like him, like, as a man because of
what he's done,
certain things that he's done as a man and as a person, you know, but as a boxer, you gotta call it what it is.
Did you see the footage of Conor hitting the bag? Like a lot of people are like mocking him.
Yeah.
What's wrong with it?
It's very unconventional.
Yeah.
You know, it's not.
But is it wrong?
No, you can't be wrong when you punch someone in the face.
But are you watching this and you're like, whoa, not this, just the footage? Yeah. Are you watching and you're like, what is he doing?
No, I think he's putting on a show.
Is it possible? I've asked his coaches this. Is it possible that he's trying to trick us?
Perhaps.
Is he trying to look bad so that we think he has no chance?
Yeah, I think
believe
so.
That?
I do. I don't think it's going to help him any in the fight, but I think a lot of this is for the reaction, right? How do you make $100 million, get more people interested?
But don't you want people to think that you have a chance?
People already think he does.
Yeah.
You do.
Well, I'm not one. Listen, I don't know how much you followed his career, but this guy has defied all logic. The fact that we're even talking about a fight that's happening in 2 weeks between him and Floyd makes no sense.
Right.
So why can't the most impossible fight ever happen in the most impossible way? That's my take on it all. Nothing he does makes sense. You know what I mean? So I can't, like, I hear Max Kellerman, who I have the utmost respect for, say he's not going to land a punch. You think that's true?
I think it's possible. I think it's possible.
Are you going to watch?
Yeah, I wasn't gonna, and then after all this, I'm like,
after you saw him do this, so it worked. It worked.
Yeah, winning.
You were going to boycott it?
No, just I had no interest in it.
Okay.
I was like, I'm not paying $100 for that.
But now you are.
Well, no, actually, I'm gonna go to my friend's house.
Okay, but you're interested.
I am interested. I want to see what happens.
Yeah.
But like I've seen, like high top level boxers. Like top level, like Terrence Crawford has been to my gym sparring with the best guys in Gleason's, like the best guys Gleason's has to offer, and then just lined them up and played with them.
Wow.
You know, and not to say that he shouldn't, but I've seen boxers do it where incredible fighters don't measure up to exceptional fighters.
Yeah, and we're talking about Floyd here.
Yeah.
The greatest of all time. Arguably, greatest defensive boxer of all time, arguably. He says if he loses, it won't affect his legacy. That can't be true, right? 49-1?
It won't affect his bank. It
won't affect his bank, but everyone, like you say Floyd Mayweather, they will always talk about him losing to the guy who was 0-0, right? Right. You don't think so?
No, I totally think so. I totally think so, but...
do you think it'll be bad for boxing?
No, I don't think...
You're already on the way out. You don't care.
No, I love boxing. Boxing's in my soul.
Yeah.
I don't think that at all. But it's like everyone says, like, oh, which gloves hit harder? Well, it depends on who punches you in the face.
Sure.
That's what gloves. It's like everything is relative to who's in there fighting.
Is Floyd making a mistake by trying to campaign for 8-ounce gloves now? Do you think that matters?
No.
No, it doesn't matter.
8 to 10 ounce ain't a big deal.
Yeah.
If Conor wanted those UFC gloves, like, then he's in trouble.
So what's your prediction?
I think I gotta say Money May all day, maybe round 4. I think he's gonna play it.
You think he stops him?
I think he could, but not because he's so strong and he's gonna knock out this tough guy. Everyone knows McGregor is so tough, but I think that his footwork, his distance, he's gonna frustrate the shit out of him.
Okay.
And if they stop it, it'll just be on lots of unanswered punches.
Oh, really? Body shots? Eat him up? No?
Both.
Both. Okay.
I think he's gonna have his way.
Way to poo-poo the whole thing.
Sorry, guys.
It's still going to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you may say about it. You mentioned the Yankees before. You wanted to play for the Yankees as a kid.
Gosh, I did.
How close did we get to this dream? Like, how far did you take it?
Until I was like 8, and I realized that little girls weren't allowed to play Little League, and we played on softball.
Is that true?
Yeah. When I was a kid, anyway.
How about now?
Now it's different. I remember even when I was a teenager that there were a couple girls playing Little League, and by then I had already been like, you know, into boys and other things, and it didn't become such a dream. But my mom talks about I would sound like a 60-year-old old man screaming at my TV. Really? I knew every stat.
You were a big Yankee fan.
Tremendous.
Who was your favorite?
Of all time?
Yeah.
Bernie Williams.
Bernie Williams.
Mariano Rivera.
Okay, so I was going to say not a pitcher, but Mariano was your guy.
Yeah, like I dreamed of running out of the bullpen.
Yeah, coming out to Enter Sandman.
Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
Oh, that would have been incredible. Wow, I love that song.
That was my dream, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
My first tattoo, I have a Yankee tattoo on my back. It was my first one when I was 14.
Are you still a fan?
I am. Unfortunately, because of my schedule, I don't really get to watch every game anymore.
They had a heartbreaker last night. I don't know if you know. They blew it against the Red Sox. You know what's interesting? I'm from Canada.
Oh, really?
And I hate the Yankees because the Yankees represent everything that's wrong in sports, in my opinion. At least like the big bad Yankees from the 90s. And my kids are New Yorkers.
Okay.
And so now they want to root for the Yankees because they're friends. And it breaks my heart that they want to wear like Yankees hats. I can't believe my spawn is wearing a Yankee hat. But I have to accept it, right? Yeah. Because they like it.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I couldn't even speak to someone who was a Red Sox fan.
Wow.
I couldn't even, like, I'd be like, I'm sorry.
Did you grow up with fighting as well? Like in your house, did you watch fighting, combat sports? None of that?
No.
Who introduced you to it?
My sister actually got me a gift certificate to a karate school. And I was working all these jobs, and she was like, you need a life. You need to get out of the house. And it was the two of us living together. And we were like 2 single moms with our kids. So
1 kid each? You had a daughter?
I have a daughter. And she has a son.
Okay.
And up until like 3 years ago, she was with me, like my wife, her whole life.
Wow.
I went from being her mom to her wife.
Wow. Older or younger sister?
She's younger.
Okay.
Younger, pretty one. And she got me this gift certificate, and within 3 weeks, I had my first fight. I was
my gosh.
Chris Algieri was kickboxing. He was kickboxing as a main event for a world title, and I was on his undercard.
Holy smokes.
And I won, and it was like, this is what I'm supposed to do.
And you had no background? Nothing?
Nothing.
Did you watch it? Were you a fan?
No.
Why did she get you this?
Because it was something to do. Like, I like to run and exercise a little bit.
Okay.
And she was like, oh, maybe you try this. Like, they had, like, the boot camp classes, and you hit the bag with the radio on, you know?
Yeah.
And it was kind of fun.
And how soon did something switch in your mind where you were like, I actually want to do this for a living?
After my first fight, like, I just wanted to keep getting better. Like, stuff that was hard, I would go back to the gym and try to make it better. And, you know, by my last kickboxing fight, I wound up at Gleason's. And it was the same thing. I went to Gleason's, hooked up with Lisa Ashley, who's a 5-time world champion kickboxer and boxer, and her brother, Devin Cormack. And they introduced me to boxing. And within 3 weeks, I had my first fight. And Devon said, if you want it, you know, 10 years from now, when they talk about women's boxing, they'll talk about Christy Martin, Layla Ali, and Heather Hardy.
Whoa. And
I was like, yeah, right. And I won like 8 titles in 18 months in boxing.
Wow.
For I turned pro.
Your daughter is a teenager now. What does she think of her mom?
She don't think I'm cool.
Come on. I saw you did a video. You're like, oh, here's my daughter. What's her name again?
Annie.
Annie. She wouldn't even crack a smile. She looked like she hated you. Are we in that stage now where she's miserable? We're in that stage.
She doesn't hate me, but she's just like outside the house. She's like, Mom, please keep your voice down.
Oh, my.
You know, because I'm like a dork. Like, I trip a lot. Like, I'm always like laughing and snorting. And she's always like,
How old is she?
13.
13, and she's already embarrassed by you.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll be like, Annie, mom's gonna fight at Madison Square Garden, and she's like,
oh my God, that is horrible. Does she go?
No.
She doesn't even go.
She used to go. Bothered? I used to fight at BB King's, and she would go because she liked the mac and cheese there.
Okay, that's it.
And when she's like, you're not fighting there anymore, forget it.
Oh, so my Lord.
I'm like, fine. One day your friends will think I'm cool, and then what?
That's right. And does she train at all? Does she do any of that?
No.
Nothing.
She's like artistic, and she likes drama and music. And all
so you had her when you were 22? Okay. With your now ex-husband?
Yes.
And how was that, the relationship, and now where it stands? Are you guys okay?
Right now it's great. He's remarried and he has other kids, and me and him have a great relationship with the baby. Like the baby is 13. She'll always be my baby.
Yeah.
So she splits her time with us, and if he's working a lot, I'll take her, or if I want her on the weekends instead of him, he'll give her to me. So it's cool.
Of course, anytime someone reads about your story now, they read about what happened to you when you were 12. You were raped.
Yeah.
You're okay with that? You're okay because I read something very interesting that you said that like people feel uncomfortable talking to me about it, but I actually enjoy having my voice heard and telling people so that people don't blame themselves. Victims can learn from this and don't blame themselves, because that's something that you feel, right? You blame yourself? Well,
I did for a long time, and I think that's part of the problem with anything from rape to domestic violence to, even like mental disorders, people like with depression and anxiety, like people are so afraid to talk about it because you feel so isolated. You feel like this only happened to me because I'm bad. It's not something that happens to everyone, but this is me because I'm bad. And any chance I can get to tell people, like, it happened to me and you think I'm cool. You think I'm successful, you think I have my shit together, but I really don't. And I might never fully have my shit together, but every day I'm working towards it, and you can do the same thing.
Could you tell us what happened? Do you mind?
No, I was raped when I was, I said 12. Unfortunately, like, when you kind of bury memories, you bury them.
Yeah.
So I might have been 13, actually. But it was someone in my neighborhood, and I thought I didn't want to tell anyone because was smoking pot, and I was really high, and I believe he laced my drugs, and I was like almost, like I couldn't move. And I was like screaming and shouting, but I couldn't move my body. So all this happened, and when the drugs wore off, I could run home and everything, but it's like a life sentence when you're raped, because anytime after it happens, you feel like that same fear and panic and anxiety and shame. Like, if I didn't buy drugs from this guy or go into his house and sit in the living room and agree to smoke with him, then this never would have happened. So for so long, I carried that every single day, like it had a handle on it, and I brought it with me.
How did you get over that?
I never got over it. I still didn't get over it, but I did accept that it wasn't my fault, and it's not my burden to carry, it's his instead. And I just figure out how to live my life around that happening, how to accept that, everything that happens isn't my fault. Some things are beyond your control. Did
you tell your parents or friends or anyone that's close to you after it happened?
My ex-husband was actually the first person I ever told.
Wow.
And
how many years later?
Well, he was my first boyfriend.
Oh, okay.
My second boyfriend. So I was with Mike from when I was 14 until I was 30.
Okay.
So probably a big part of the reason, because I told him that, and he helped me carry that. But he was also a kid. I was 14, he was 18, so he kind of just like said, here, let me just take that problem and put it on the shelf and make you feel better.
Okay.
So,
did you tell your parents at some point?
Years later.
And how did they react?
It was hard because my neighborhood is more like a community.
Yeah.
So the person who raped me is still like riding around on his bike in and out of jail for years. Like, my mom knows his mom, and it kind of gets buried,
Yeah.
And that was a big part of the reason why I wanted to move my daughter out of there, because sexual assault is so prevalent in neighborhoods like that, where people are afraid and ashamed to tell on someone that is so close with people you know.
Yeah. Have you ever seen him since?
I have.
You have?
I have.
Have you talked to him?
No.
Like, how close is he when you see him?
Like riding his bike, maybe if I'm driving and I'll see him ride his bike.
What is that like?
It's terrifying, but not physically terrifying, because I could kick his ass.
You could.
It's like the fear comes back all in waves, like as if it just happened.
How hard was it to get to the point to where you speak about it now and are okay to speak about it and almost, you know, giving people hope that they can speak about it and encourage? I mean, that's not an easy thing.
It's not, but it's something like that came with time. Like I realized not everyone has a microphone and a platform to speak.
Yeah.
And I think it's an athlete's duty to reach out to all the people who think that you inspire them, or who say, because of you, I went to the gym today. Because of you, I felt like I could box. I want to reach out to people on a different level so that because of me, they felt like they could put a piece of their life behind them. Like you know what? Bad things have happened to me in my life,
yeah,
but I'm still able to do well. And able to do good.
Your story has been covered everywhere, ESPN, Vice. I've read tons of articles. We had a great article on you right before your debut in MMA. Mark Ramundi wrote it. And I'm wondering, like, the more it gets out there, you must get letters from people, right? From women who have probably experienced and who say thank you. What is that like to read that you kind of like a voice for them?
Sometimes it makes me cry,
yeah,
you know, but it makes me know it's worth it. And it inspires me to keep talking and keep saying it and keep assuring people and women and even men, like you know, these things happen to men all the time as well. Like, it's not your fault. And you don't have to be ashamed or embarrassed. You're not by yourself. I remember when I first talked about it, I was surprised at all the people around me who reached out and said, like, it happened to me too. And I would look at these people and think, like, but you have a good job and a family, and every time I see you, you're happy. And that made me realize that I could be happy too.
Uh-huh.
You know?
How long after did you speak about it publicly for the first time?
Gosh, it had to be close to 20 years.
Wow. And why did you decide to speak about it? Like, what changed to make you finally come out and talk?
Because I was finally starting to get over it myself.
Okay.
Not get over it,
Yeah,
but learning how to put it behind me. Or learning how to say, this doesn't define me, who I am. This isn't me. You know, like, it's just growing up and learning yourself. And learning, like, all the things that are wrong with me and why they're wrong with me. And I just felt like, for all the people who are looking up to me and following me and writing to me, I owe it to them.
You don't think, though, that this incident led you to become a fighter?
I don't think so. I think that this incident makes me fight how I fight, you know? Like, because I've fought for my life before. And that makes me feel like when I go in the ring, or even the cage now, like, no girl at 125 pounds is going to make me fight for my life. No girl at 125 pounds is going to intimidate me in ways that I haven't already lived through and came out the other side on.
Yeah.
So you never see me give up because I don't know how to.
What is it like now? Because you say 12, 13, your daughter is 12, 13. Do you think about, like, overprotecting her, and do you get worried when now she's becoming more independent, right? Do you start to put yourself in her shoes at her age? And how are you coping with that?
I really try to make my daughter know that that she has a voice and she can speak out, and there are things that, like, she can talk to me about and not feel embarrassed or ashamed, or like that mommy won't believe her, you know? And her father is very active in who she's with and where she goes and what she does. Because he still lives in that neighborhood. I took her out. I ran away with her. So she spends most of her time with me, where the environment isn't she goes out and then comes home for dinner. It's like, you have after school activities, mommy picks you up, mommy brings you home. If your girlfriends want to come over, they can come over to our apartment. Not so much she's just roaming the streets, hanging out.
Do you ever, like, is there a point where you just don't want to talk? Are you tired of talking about it, having to relive it? No. You think that there's a purpose? I mean,
I do.
You have this,
like, and I remember when somebody made, like, a comment on Twitter or Facebook that stuck with me, and they were like, oh, you know, Heather Hardy's always telling her sad story. And I was like, wow, you know, like, maybe some other people are tired of hearing it, but those are the people who don't have to listen to it. It's like the people who really need to hear it will hear it.
Are you a part of any groups? Do you talk to any?
I don't. My advisor, Dan Hill, has had me do a few, like, speeches and interviews and programs and stuff, but nothing, like, exclusively.
You're so eloquent. You speak about it, and just your whole story is just so inspiring. So I feel like a lot of people can learn a lot and be inspired by you. So
yeah, I do some public speaking, like when I'm asked, but unfortunately I'm always in the gym training, or, you know, being a mom is hard to commit so much to that. So whenever I have the chance to talk about it or people want to.
Sure. And I was perusing your Instagram recently, which at times is very entertaining with some of your sayings. But it seemed like, is everything okay? Like something happened recently where you were like, I'm over it and I'm going to move on. You were talking about something for a couple of days straight. Is everything okay?
Yeah, everything's good. I think it's just like the highs and lows of life, right? Some days you wake up, it's hard to get out of bed.
Yeah.
And, you know, you got to give yourself like that little pep talk. Like, you got a family to feed. Get your ass up.
Do you know what I'm talking about? It was like August 2nd, 3rd, 4th. You were talking about something.
Yeah, you're very observant.
Yes. What were you talking about?
I had girl stuff.
Okay.
Girl stuff.
I understand. But everything's okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Because I was just, you know, I like to do my research and I saw it. I was like, you know, I was wondering, because you didn't actually say what it was. It was very secretive. So, you know, I apologize for prying.
That's okay. No, you don't.
Well, that's just, you know, the job.
It's okay.
That is the job. Well, I appreciate you opening up about it because I know, I mean, every story, but that's kind of who you are. And I mean, it doesn't go away, right? It'll never go away. You're okay with that? Yeah. You're at peace with that?
Yeah. It'll never go away, but I make it livable.
Are you, and you're okay with, you know, sometimes it's hard to have relationships, right? Have you been able to put it aside to where you can have healthy relationships?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, like, most of my relationship problem come from me being a fighter.
That's you. Men are actually sometimes like intimidated by that, right? Because you're tougher than them, right?
Yeah, like I see that a lot in the gym, you know, like they come and partner up with me and they go so hard just so that Hardy don't beat them up.
And you probably do beat them up.
A lot of times.
Yeah. That's amazing. So your home for boxing is Gleason's?
Yes.
Your home for MMA?
Is Renzo Gracie Fight Academy in Williamsburg.
Oh, in Williamsburg. Wow.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? I used to live like 2 blocks from that.
Oh, really?
Gym. Yeah. And a good friend of mine still goes there. That's a beautiful gym.
I know.
The white mats and everything.
Yeah, Daniel is so good too. Daniel Gracie coaches over there.
Okay, he's the coach there now.
Yeah, I've learned so much from him.
Wow. And so you've also trained at Longo Weidman,
right?
But no more.
Well, the commute got really hard. Like, my sparring partners are out there, so like, you know, Jenny Nadel's a world champion kickboxer, and they have a couple of girls who do MMA over there, and the wrestling coach is really good, so I try to stay there, but it's just a little challenging. Okay,
and so October 20th, Mohegan Sun, which is somewhat local, not quite as local as MSG, but close enough. We don't know the opponent yet? Right. A couple days we should have some names to look at. Will it be 125? Yes. Okay. And then you're hoping for a boxing match end of the year. Before the end of the year. So this is going to be a busy 4 months for you. Yes. Hopefully on Showtime. Yes, hopefully on Showtime. What do we do? How do we get this done? We gotta tweet Steven Espinoza. Tell him you want to see the heat. Have you actually met him? A few times. He's been to my fights. He has? Yeah. Because you fought at Barclays and things like that? And because he's so close with Lou. So that's right. Even when I was fighting like my little fights at BB King's, you know, he was coming in. So what's taking so long? I don't know, man. Tell him you want to see the heat. Yes. Okay. And what weight do you fight at in boxing? 122 and 126. 126. What's the dream matchup in that weight for you? Is there anyone who's on your level in your opinion? Well, oh my gosh, there are so many girls. Like that's really why I'm out here talking, because there isn't like on my level. There are so many girls who will probably kick my butt right now. But what do you mean, kick your butt? No, well, not kick my butt, but you know, I'm being nice. Right. There's a girl in Canada, Jelena, who has the WBC 126-pound title, and guys, that's on my Christmas list. Yeah. That's the fight. That's the dream matchup right now. That's on my Christmas list. Where in Canada is she from? Do you know? I wish I did. I'm sorry to say I don't. No, it's okay. I'm Canadian, so. And her last name is very long, so I wouldn't even dare. Try and disrespect her. So this would be a third title. Yes. Wow. So, and your 2 belts, do you have a like mandatory? Do you have to defend one soon? I usually defend them every 6 months. Okay. Whichever one. Like I can't hold them both now. I had the 122-pounder, and I vacated the 122, and I took the 126. Okay. So I've already defended it like I have to for this year. I might do it again if they ask me to. Right. But I want to go for that new one. Do you like the structure of MMA as opposed to boxing, where it's just like one organization and you fight within it and you don't have to deal with the different commissions and things like that? The sanctioning bodies? I like it because it's so corporate, you know? Like I was so impressed with how corporate Bellator was. And
that's pretty exciting. And you know, you can take a look at the landscape of the girls and who you want to fight.
Exactly.
But
There's a roster.
Boxing is kind of like that too. It's just a matter of like, will this promoter let me fight this promoter's girl, and then have the matchup happen.
Okay.
That's what makes it challenging. Not so much the organizations of the belts, but really who's promoting what. Like this girl's from Canada. Will she come to the Barclays Center, or will they make me go up there?
Okay.
So that's where the promotional crossover kind of stinks in boxing.
Did you meet Scott Coker?
I did meet him at the weigh-in, I think.
But you never had a conversation with him?
No,
he's a great guy.
Yeah, he's been talking with my team, so.
Okay. He's kind of like the antithesis of Lou, who I love. I'm a huge Lou Develop fan. Like when I
that video you guys did was so good.
I want to have Lou in studio. Maybe next week we'll have him talk about the fight, but he's just such a colorful character.
Oh my God, I know.
New York boxing.
He's like when your dad takes you out somewhere and you're like, Dad, shut up.
Yeah. Maybe that's how your daughter feels about you.
It totally is.
He even screwed up his, did you see what he did with his collar? He was very upset about this.
No.
Because, you know, he had like the buttons here, but he buttoned it, instead of buttoning it here, he did it like here, and he was so upset. He sent me a text, why didn't you tell me? I didn't notice it, but he was very upset. He's such a character. I'm happy.
So
I love the fact that you're sort of like breaking these barriers, and you're being promoted by a boxing guy and an MMA guy now at this point, and that you signed this deal. So no Invicta, we're exclusive with Bellator.
We're exclusive with Bellator right now, moving forward.
Well, this has been great.
A couple fights.
I really appreciate you coming in.
Thanks so much.
So much fun. Soon, you know, we have Holly Holm right over there.
Yeah, I saw that when I walked in.
Soon we'll have the heat, maybe.
Totally.
How about that? That's Conor McGregor, the man you think has no chance of beating Floyd Mayweather, the man who you actually...
had to throw that in, right?
You openly laughed at, by the way, for the record. Openly laughed at.
Twice.
Twice. If not more. Got the Bellator gloves that you'll be wearing again soon.
Oh, yeah.
We have it all here. Heather, it has been a pleasure.
Thank you so
so
much.
much. Really. Thank you. I appreciate you coming in, making the trek, and sharing your story with us. A lot of fans, again, have been asking to have you on, and really happy that you did it.
I hope they still like me after that.
They will. No, they will. They will. They will. Okay. Our man Joe is going to walk you out here.
Awesome.
We like to do it on the fly. I wish you the best, and we'll see you on October 20th as I knock over my flags for the second time today.
Thanks.
There she goes, Heather Hardy, the Heat, returning to action on October 20th. Take care, Heather. All the best to you as she departs the studio. How much fun was that? So great to talk to her, and so great that she has re-signed with Bellator, that she has actually signed a multi-fight deal with Bellator. And now she is headed to the Mohegan Sun.